Someone, guys. As I was watching the Late Friedman podcast, and he was interviewing Tucker Carlson, an American journalist. For those that don't know, Tucker's just interviewed Putin, the president of Russia. So they have this discussion around Tucker's interview with Putin, and it goes on for hours and hours and hours and hours. You know, obviously they talk about Tucker's life, his life in media as a reporter, blah 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 blah. But the interesting thing is when he gets to the end of the interview, and Lex then asks Tucker, based on Tucker's experience of the world, Uguti, you've got 4 kids. What experience or what advice, based on your experiences, would you give them? What advice would you give anyone? And Tucker's answer really shocked me. It took me back because I wasn't prepared on the answer. Just based on who Tucker is, like, because I've been following Tucker for years now, and just based on the energy of the interview. And Utu Tucker at the end, the advice I would give people is have kids. Have kids young. Have as many kids, you know. And I'm like this guy, did he really just... Did this guy really just say, have kids, have them as early as possible? Even if you're in high school, have kids or something along those lines, I'm not too sure. But he said that, and I'm like, no ways, you know. And then Izolo, I'm on Instagram and I see a reel, and it's the Tucker Carlson interview, but it's just that snippet of Lex asking him, what advice would you give to people? And it's like, have kids. As you guys, whether you believe in conspiracies or not, you know, I've heard Elon Musk say that whole thing of Wuti, we don't have overpopulation. You know, I've heard the conspiracy of Wuti, there's enough foods in markets to end a world hunger, all those things. But I'm just going to speak from a point of being a dad. As you guys, kids are, yes, they can be expensive. Kids are a lot of work. They really are. I've got 3 motherfuckers. Well, I guess I'm the motherfucker. Okay, so I've got 3 of them. They hard work, they can be expensive, or they are expensive depending on your standard of living. There's no days off. You can't park your kids like a car and take an Uber. Whether they're in front of you or not. You know, they could be Gok, or they could be somewhere that's on a school camp. You still don't sleep fully. There's no deep sleep. You guys could be co-parenting. You know, you're still gonna wonder what they ate. You know, having kids is very stressful at times. But every time I speak to parents, and again, I'm talking to involved parents. I'm not just talking about sperm donors or people that had a child and actually denied the child. I'm talking about parents who really try to invest in their child as much as they can, whatever the agreement may be. Whenever you speak to parents and I ask them about their achievements in life, they tend to really fixate and zone in on the kids. They really, really do. You know, I've spoken to so many single mothers, so many single fathers, just parents who are struggling financially, and I asked them about their pains and challenges of the daily life, and they speak about expenses and this and this and this and this. And then you ask them about their kids and their eyes light up. You know, I talk to parents or mothers rather, who've had a very, very challenging birth, a childbirth or a challenging pregnancy, you know. But when you speak about the child, you know, their eyes light up. You know, we know of mothers that have lied on the stand for their kids who are criminals. We know mothers who have stolen things for them. We know fathers who have taken jail sentences for their sons and their daughters. We know all of this shit. Like, guys, something within you changes forever once you have kids. Something changes. And like, as much as the negatives of having a child are here, there's a lot. There's baby mama drama, there's the financial aspects, there's a lot of the positives. Having kids is probably the only thing that I know that is your responsibility, like that has positives that times 100 outweigh the negatives. You speak to parents, involved parents, and again, I'm not saying parents that live with their kids. I'm not talking about parents who have R1,000,000. I'm talking about parents who are just doing their best. When they think about their kids, the kids that they have now, and you ask them, okay, sharp. Like I was speaking to a friend of mine who's a single mom, and I was saying, if your child, if it's that expensive and it's that hard, why don't you ever think about sending your kid to the father? Or sending your kids to, she wanted to eat me up. Because again, as the lioness as she is, she understands, as challenging as it is, hunting is not easy. But watching my child eat, that's where the satisfaction and the passion is. Guys, I know so many people who say they are plant moms or dog dads. I had dogs. I went and bought John Gadi Shook Nights. I loved my dogs. Like really invested. Loved my dogs more than I love 99% of people. But anyway, once I had kids, something changes. I know you watching here thinking that you love your dog. I get it. Once you have a child, something changes, guys. Something changes. I've spoken to people about having kids. I've spoken to people about how to go about this and this and this and this. When Tucker Carlson said to have him as young as you can, I look at it now. I had kids, in my opinion, very late. My firstborn, I was 27 years old. To many people who might be watching this, like, that was young. I wish I had my firstborn at like 22. This whole notion of kids are expensive. Kids are expensive like how a car is expensive. It's all based on your standard of living. Kids are expensive like how clothes are expensive. So if you're a middle class person and you decide to go buy your clothes at Pep, then clothes aren't expensive. Now, are they? If you are earning 50K a month and you decide to go and buy yourself a Toyota Taz, then all of a sudden your car isn't expensive now, is it? So it'll all be based on your standard of living. So kids can be very, 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 very expensive, or kids can be cool and we can manage it, because they don't have to eat lobster and caviar and whatever the fucking yar every day, So it's all based on your standard of living and how you manage your finances. Because I know many happy kids, many happy kids, many happy, and I know many miserable kids that go to the most poshest private schools. So again, that whole notion, it doesn't exist. It's all based on your standard of living. And if you're living above your means, anything, if you even if I were to get you a pet bunny, you would struggle financially because again, you're living above your means. But anyway, I digress, Mabe Shabelu. The challenge I feel a lot of us are panicking about, besides the financial one, which I just called bullshit on, is the baby daddy, baby mama drama. Guys, I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy. I wouldn't wish for any woman to get impregnated by a deadbeat loser of a man, the same way that I wouldn't wish any man to impregnate some loser of a woman who's going to use the child as ammo or use the child to fight battles. I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. I wouldn't. And again, I pray and I hope that none of us get there. But here's the reality. You never know until you know. You never know until you know. There's some guys who are amazing boyfriends, but are not the best husbands. There's some guys who are lame as, boring as boyfriends, but make phenomenal husbands. There's guys who are great boyfriends, great husbands, but are shit dads. There's guys who are phenomenal dads, but he ungamcholi because he's a rubbish boyfriend. So you must understand the same goes for our sisters. There's sisters who are phenomenal moms, but geez, are they toxic women. Oh, they're toxic. They are absolutely toxic. But in terms of the mom department, they'll do anything for their kids. But anything means, even if it means cutting the dad out. And that is the painful part. Even though the dad might be really hustling his ass off to ensure that he's there, present and involved in the child. So that part I'm still trying to maneuver and think about. But I'm telling you now, there's no guarantees. I know so many people that dated, got married, then have kids, then unfortunately got divorced for multiple different reasons, and now the kids are being used as like the battering ram. But people did things the right way: date, marry, kids, and post things become toxic. So toxic people just become toxic people. And I know, and I'm thinking of one specific person. I know a proper ex-hoe, proper ex-hoe who had a child from this guy and cleaned up her act. From what we see, at least, Before it was pop bottles, different guys, different guys, different guys. What we were hearing on the street, different guys, different guys, different guys. She felt pregnant, or time girl or relax. That's also a possibility. That's also a possibility because again, we don't have the memo or the blueprint of life. So we also need to calm down. What we do know though, what we do know is that the universe is about expanding and growing. What we do know is that here we're about planting and cultivating. We're trying to leave something better than what we found it. Life is all about production. That's what we know. If you're not growing, you're dying. That's a fact. And how do you grow? Through your seed. Through your seed, guys. Please have kids. Please have kids. I got a DM from a guy who asked if he can stay anonymous. He's 24. He's Yapanda, hustling Nyana. He got his girlfriend who's 22-year-old pregnant. She doesn't work. She doesn't go to university. And he was just asking me, Guti, how would I go about this? How would I manage that situation? Tucker Carlson says the funniest thing about us, man. He says, a man will do nothing until he has to. And once he has to, he will do anything. Let me say that again. A man will do nothing until he has to. And once he has to, he will do anything. Brother, stay strong. It's an absolute blessing from God for you to have a child. 24, 22, you guys might feel that you're not ready. I'm not the most religious person, but I know those who are religious know what God has a plan. Hey guys, I know so many married couples that are struggling now to have kids. I know so many. I know a sister who, guys, because sometimes, now they're struggling to have kids, her and her husband, because of lamapilis law. So understand that as we get older, men and women alike, it gets harder and harder to have kids. It gets harder and harder to have kids. Now you guys are trying to do my IVF, trying to be freezing sperms. You've never spoken to a specialist. Maybe 1% of you have, but generally people haven't spoken to the specialists. They haven't done their due research. But and by the time you look up, when a middle class banban, you're gonna realize that you're 42, you're 45. By the time you realize this, you're gonna realize you're 42, 45. And it's gonna be tough then. It's gonna be so much tougher. Do the research. Do the research, you'll find out. Guys, after this video, I'm actually gonna go and pick up my boys. Again, super blessed because all three of them go to the same school. And I'm just gonna try and see if I can spend the afternoon with them, just so that I can get frustrated and shout and threaten them. All things that dads love to do. But again, I pray for you guys to have a blessed day. I pray for you guys to really think about what I'm trying to say. Maybe it didn't land, but I'm hoping that I planted a seed that actually germinates with time. I pray it doesn't get to the point where years to come, you look back and regret. We've all done shit that we regret, guys. Yes, sis, I've done billions of things. But again, we have opportunities to try and fix and rectify certain things. So with that being said, Gansanda, please like, please share, please comment. Please comment, please comment, please comment, please comment, please comment, please comment. And have yourselves a blessed day. Ciao.